Have you ever seen a rude or entitled customer get put in their place? 1. 1972, Los Angeles, California. My friend and I would sometimes go to a high-end department store just to dream. We both worked entry-level jobs, so our salaries would definitely not support our fantasies. We in no way looked like we belonged in that store. The staff there never hovered, unless a customer wanted them to, but they were quietly and unobtrusively vigilant. These people knew we weren't there to buy, but they treated us as respected customers. A well-dressed black woman and her young daughter were looking at little girl dresses. My friend also had a daughter, not with us, so she, too, looked at the outfits, way out of our price range. A slightly older, white woman aggressively snatched a dress from the black mother and snarled, "That's mine." The black lady quickly moved to another rack of clothes. The white woman did it again, and again. She snapped, "You don't belong here, girl." This was all in less than a minute. The black woman started to speak, looked at her frightened child and moved away. The white woman stood with hands, still clutching the children's clothes, on her hips glaring after them. The store staff saw it all. As one saleslady moved towards the woman and her child, a very distinguished-looking floor manager approached the other woman. He bowed slightly, it was a different time, gently taking the merchandise from her, which she didn't want to buy after all, and offered to take her to a more comfortable place so she could calm down. She looked so pleased with herself. He asked if she had the store privilege/credit card so that he could change her status. An upgrade for being nasty? ? And she beamed. He took her arm and led her outside the store. We couldn't hear what was said, but her face, it seems that he told her she was no longer welcome and refused to give back her card. The guard at the door blocked her when she tried to re-enter. As he passed us, we thanked him. He nodded slightly and continued on his way to the mother and daughter. 2. I was at the airport. It was awesome. This was a long time ago. I was probably 25 or so, flying from Denver to New York. I entered the Denver airport and headed to the United counter to check in, the United first class counter, because a rich relative had bought me the ticket. There was no line, the place was pretty empty, but the woman at the counter was clearly in the middle of doing something. So I approached the counter but stood a few feet back until she looked up at me. It didn't take long. She looked up and smiled and asked how she could help me, and I started stepping all the way up to the counter, when suddenly a guy came out of nowhere and quickly squeezed in front of me. I had to hop out of the way so he didn't knock into me. I started to express surprise, but he just turned his back to me and said to the woman, "I need to check in for my flight." The woman looked at me, and I just shrugged. This guy was older than me and looked like he belonged in first class. Nice suit, briefcase, busy air about him, and he was sort of out of breath, so I figured he was late for his flight. Whatever. I started to back up so she could help this guy check in, but then she says to the guy, "Sir, this young woman was here first." He didn't look at me, just responded something like, "But I'm going to be late." And then she tells him, "Sir, if you would like to check in ahead of this passenger, you'll need to apologize to her and get her permission to take her place in line." He paused, and then he did it. He looked at me for the first time, 20 years his junior, wearing fraying jeans and flip-flops, squirmed for a moment, and then said he was sorry and asked if he could go ahead of me. I looked at the woman at the United counter, and her face was impassive, totally professional. I told him, "Sure, no problem," and stepped away from the counter. I still